I woke up to a soft gurgling sound coming from the nursery. At first, I thought it was just a dream. I often hear my baby babbling in the night, so the indistinct sounds didn't alarm me. But then I remembered, he almost never wakes up on his own. Yet something about his voice was different. It was as if he wasn't just babbling, but responding. I grabbed my phone and opened the baby monitor app. The image loaded, and what I saw sent a chill down my spine. Standing by the crib was a figure, pale, tall, unnaturally shrouded in shadow. For a moment, I didn't comprehend what I was seeing. Then I noticed my son was sitting up in his crib, leaning forward, looking right at it, at that figure. And it was looking at him. I froze, staring at the screen. 100 thoughts raced through my mind. Was it a reflection, a camera glitch, or maybe had someone broken into our house? With trembling hands, I put the phone down and moved toward the nursery door. In the dark hallway, my heart was pounding so loudly I could hear it in my ears. I didn't know what I would see when I opened the door. And this was probably the only time in my life I've ever felt truly terrified in my own home. When I entered, the room was filled with an oppressive silence. My son was sitting in his crib, calm. His wide eyes were still focused on the spot by the headboard. But no one was there. I turned on the light. Empty. No trace, no strange shadows. I rushed over to my son and hugged him, but he just smiled and whispered quietly, "She's gone now." It felt like an electric shock. I tried to act calm and asked, "Who, son?" "The woman. She comes when you're asleep." I didn't sleep at all that night. I sat by his crib, listening to every sound. But the night passed quietly. The next few days, I felt a strange unease. I kept re-watching the camera footage, but there was nothing. Just that one snippet where I first saw the figure. The recording was saved, but the image seemed blurred, as if intentionally distorted. No face, no details, just a silhouette. My son repeated the same thing several times. "The woman comes." But he never seemed scared. On the contrary, he spoke about her as if she were a familiar person. With each passing night, the tension grew. I started to fear sleep. I started to be afraid that I would wake up to his voice again and see the same thing on the camera. And one night, I did wake up. But this time, there was no babbling or laughter. There was only silence. I felt something was wrong, a coldness in the air. I grabbed my phone. The camera showed my son sitting up in his crib again, and once again, he wasn't alone. The figure was standing next to him, the same one. But this time, it turned to face the camera. I couldn't make out the face. It was blurred, unnatural. But I felt that it was looking directly at me. Not at my son, at me. I threw the phone down and almost broke the nursery door. Inside, again, empty. My son was lying down, already covered by his blanket, and sleeping as if nothing had happened. I left the light on until morning. I started to investigate. I didn't ask the neighbors. I didn't want them to think I was crazy. But I Googled and read about night visitors, shadow people, and ghosts in nurseries. Most articles dismissed these as nighttime hallucinations or effects of a waking brain. But some were too similar to my story. One evening, I decided to talk to my son seriously. "Son," I said, sitting down next to him, "who is this woman?" He thought for a moment, as if trying to find the right words. "She says she loves you." "Me?" "Yes, she says we both belong to her." I trembled at those words. On the fourth night, I decided not to sleep. I sat in the hallway across from the nursery door. Light was off. The hours dragged on in the oppressive darkness. And then I heard a quiet rustle, as if someone was running their fingers along the door from the other side. I quickly looked at my phone. The camera showed an empty crib. My son was sitting on the floor, right by the lens. He was smiling. And behind him stood the woman. Now I could see her more clearly. Long black hair, unnaturally pale skin, dark eyes. She put her hands on his shoulders, and she was looking directly into the camera again. I rushed into the room and froze. My son was indeed sitting on the floor, but he was alone. When I glanced at my phone, the recording stopped. The camera seemed to have turned off by itself. That night, for the first time, I wondered, what if she's not a ghost in the usual sense? What if it's something else? Something that only comes when I am near? I was terrified by the very thought. The climax came the next evening. I heard the babbling again and opened the app on my phone again. My son was sitting on the floor, but this time he wasn't looking at the figure. He was looking at the camera, right at me. And the figure leaned down to him and whispered something in his ear. And my son, without taking his eyes off the screen, said clearly, "Dad, don't be afraid. It's your mom." I was speechless. My mother has been gone for a long time. He had never seen her. I rarely even showed him pictures. But he recognized her. And I recognized her too. Everything became clear when I looked again. The same eyes, the same hair. She stood next to him just as I remembered her from my childhood. I fell to my knees. The fear didn't disappear. It just changed. This wasn't a stranger's ghost. It was her, my mom. I didn't know what she wanted, why she came to my son specifically. Why not to me? And I still don't know. But when I remember those nights, I get chills. Because the biggest horror in this story isn't that a ghost came. It's that my son wasn't afraid of her. He accepted her as something natural, as if he had known she was there all along. Sometimes I think, maybe she never left. And I decided to try to see her again. I hid the camera so that it filmed the entire room, and I went to bed. Thoughts swirled in my head. Could I somehow talk to her? Was she really my mom? Maybe she's trying to tell me something? I woke up to a coldness that pierced my entire body. The camera showed that she was here again, standing by the crib. But this time, when I looked, she walked up to the lens, pressed her face against it, and disappeared. The recording stopped. I felt like I was losing my mind. I couldn't sleep anymore. I couldn't tell reality from a dream. My son started talking to her like she was a real person, and there was nothing I could do. I just sat in the hallway, staring at the door of his room, and waited. One day, he spoke, and his voice was different. It was deep and adult-like, but I could hear the echo of his own voice in it. "Dad, she's tired," he said. "She's waiting for you." And then I understood that she was never my mom. She was something else, something that was disguised as her. She wanted me to believe that she was a part of me, but she never was. And she wanted me to be a part of her. I locked myself in my room, cutting off all contact with the outside world. I couldn't leave. I couldn't tell anyone. Now I am sitting in the dark and writing these lines. And from the next room, his voice echoes. "Dad, come join us. Don't make us come get you."